staff, management, and advertisers.
Liberalism is back in style. Welcome to the evolution.
What if you knew Fox News was just lying to you? How could you watch when you know?
He was voted Variety Entertainer of the Year in the Excellence in the Arts Award. And is one of the highest Arbitrum, now Nielsen-rated talk radio hosts in Las Vegas. He is also a refreshing voice of logic and reason. Live from the entertainment capital of the world, Doug Basham.
And good morning, my fellow wokes and Republican jokes. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Doug Basham, and welcome to the Doug Basham Show right here on KSHP in Las Vegas and on social media, and to a genuine demonstration of excellence in broadcasting. Hey, everybody. Great to see you all again. I am Doug Basham, card-carrying member, I might add, in good standing of the Enemy Within Brigade, also known as one sick radical leftist lunatic who needs to be handled by the American military and who should maybe also be facing the barrels of 9 guns shooting at my face, at least according to one of the Tangerine Tyrant's latest violent rants. My website is DougBasham.com, last name spelled B as in Bob, A-S-H-A-M as in Mary, DougBasham.com, my email, Doug@DougBasham.com. That said, I extend a warm welcome to those of you listening on KSHP, AM 1400 and 107.1 FM on your radio dial here in Las Vegas. We are also broadcasting on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, and of course, Twitter/X. And just in case you've forgotten why Elon Musk changed the name of Twitter to X, it's so that Trump supporters would be able to spell it. Now, if you go to my website, again, DougBasham.com, you will discover it's all of one page. That's it. At the top, you'll see the show's logo. Underneath, 10 links, most to my social media sites, also one to contact me via email. Now, the 2 links I'd like to call your attention to the most are, 1, my YouTube page, and 2, my TikTok page. On my YouTube page, I would respectfully ask you hit the subscribe button. On TikTok, please hit the red follow button. Now, if you would like to watch the show live and not just listen to it, reason being when I play clips, I play video clips. Also, so you can discover why so many people over the years have said that this is a face for television. From my website, you can go to either my YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter/X pages, whereupon you can indeed watch the show live. And if I happen to violate YouTube policies and they suspend my stream mid-show, just go back to my website, then go to my Facebook or Twitter/X pages. 221-7283 is our call-in number here at the station, folks. If you would like to talk on the radio somewhere in our second half hour together, that's 702 area code 221-SAVE, as in Save Our Democracy, which is our ultimate and only goal in each and every show we do. And as the estimable Joy Behar said recently on The View,
I mean, he's cost a lot. I think we should lock him up now.
Well,
one last word on Halloween, which of course was last Thursday. I told you how my Halloween night went on Friday's show, but get this. Several hours after my show on Friday, the night after Halloween, I had a kid show up at my door yelling trick or treat. And I wouldn't say he was exactly in a costume, but he was dressed all in red. And I said to him, "Dude, Halloween was yesterday." To which he replied, "I know, I'm sorry. I'm a period. I'm a day late." I mean, what could I do? I'd already given away all my candy, so I gave this creative little monster cold, hard cash. I couldn't help but appreciate the creativity. And for the final time this year, I will remind you of what Trump and pumpkins have in common. They're both orange, hollow on the inside, and should be thrown in the garbage in early November. This year's recommended date for disposal, tomorrow, November 5th, Election Day and Orange Disposal Day. And now on to our breaking news of the day. And what say we start with just a lovely meme I saw over the weekend. Now what it is, there's a black background. It features a red comma followed by the letters LA, spelling Kamala. And underneath that is the image of a cat reaching upwards towards Kamala, no doubt reflective of Just Del Vance's childish cat lady remarks. Nice, huh? And I'm sure I'm not alone by any stretch, but there is no question my nerves have been on edge as this election has drawn closer. But I came to a conclusion over the weekend. I wasn't nervous at all leading up to the 2016 election. I thought Hillary was a lock, and she should have been. And as we all know, my confidence was shattered into tiny little pieces. Now, I was very nervous about the 2020 election, and that worked out exactly how I wanted it to. So the fact that I'm even more nervous about tomorrow's election, I've decided that could be a good sign, right? Fingers crossed. And as we move to our next story, I have to ask, can anyone tell me what in the fresh hell is going on with Iowa? Seriously, a headline in the Des Moines Register over the weekend carried the headline, quote, "Iowa poll, Kamala Harris leapfrogs Donald Trump to take the lead near Election Day. Here's how," end quote. A bit from that story, quote, "Kamala Harris now leads Donald Trump in Iowa." Oh, I have to repeat that. It has a ring to it. Kamala Harris now leads Donald Trump in Iowa, a startling reversal for Democrats and Republicans who have all but written off the state's presidential contest as a certain Trump victory. A new Des Moines Register Mediacom Iowa poll shows Vice President Harris leading former President Trump 47% to 44% among likely voters just days before a high-stakes election that appears deadlocked in key battleground states. The results follow a September Iowa poll that showed Trump with a 4-point lead over Harris and a June Iowa poll that showed him with an 18-point lead over Democratic President Joe Biden, who was the presumed Democratic nominee at the time. Pollster J. Ann Seltzer, president of the Seltzer and Company, said, quote, "It's hard for anybody to say they saw this coming. She has certainly leaped into a leading position," end quote. And we've learned since that this J. Ann Seltzer is the pollster who conducted this poll. We've also learned that she is considered to be the gold standard for polling in Iowa and possesses what has been called, quote, "a freakishly high rate of success and accuracy." So again, what in the holy hell is going on in Iowa? Here's a report on the startling poll featuring the aforementioned pollster, J. Ann Seltzer.
The other breaking news, the Des Moines Register is out with a brand new poll conducted by Jan Selzer's firm. This, as you know, is the gold standard of polling in Iowa, and it shows Vice President Harris with a 3-point lead over Donald Trump in that state. Harris has the support of 47% of likely voters to Trump's 44%. That result within the margin of error. Joining us now, pollster Jan Selzer.
Jan, obviously you are bringing, we're coming on air right now with this polling, and I mean, we could just put it up on the screen for folks, because I didn't have this on my bingo card, as I like to say. Vice President Kamala Harris, 47%, Donald Trump, 44%. Take us inside your poll. What is new here? We know that there's a majority of Iowa men in this poll that say they prefer Trump. A majority of women prefer Harris among likely Iowa voters. This seems like something is happening.
It does seem like something's happening. Now, we've been living with the numbers day by day as we've been gathering the data. So we've had a little bit of time to get over the initial shock. You know, Iowa is a very Republican state. There's only one person at statewide office or federal office who is a Democrat. So to have the presidential candidate lead by a substantive margin was shocking to begin with. One of the reasons she is leading is because of her strength with women generally, even stronger with women aged 65 and over. Her margin is more than 2 to 1. And this is an age group that shows up to vote or votes early in disproportionately large numbers. So it's a bit of the boost that Kamala Harris has gotten this time.
Now, I'm not saying Harris is going to win Iowa, but if she could manage to pull that off, we would have to be looking at a glorious blue wave. And even if she can't, it could still be a win. Consider this. If Trump could only win a blood red state like Iowa by, say, 2-3 points, how could he expect to win purpley states like Wisconsin, Michigan, or Pennsylvania, or Georgia, or Arizona, or even North Carolina, where hopefully the self-professed black Nazi the GOP has running for governor, who said he'd like to own blacks, hopefully Mark Robinson will pull Trump down. And just to finish with Iowa, even if Harris were to win, like the poll says, by 47 to 44%, it would still be a stain on this nation's legacy and history that a convicted felon, adjudicated rapist, and someone who's facing RICO and espionage charges, along with conspiracy to defraud the American people, how someone like that is even allowed to run for office, let alone be receiving even 1% in the polls, let alone 44%. And guess what? Nothing will change until America comes to the conclusion that it's not in this nation's best interest to allow several fascist propaganda networks to operate openly in its democracy. And so, we're down to the wire. It's closing argument time. I would like to now show anyone who's a member of Trump's brain-dead MAGA cult base their candidate's closing message. And by the way, did you see this rally Trump held over the weekend? It looked like it was in a high school gym, and it still wasn't full. This is a short clip. I'm going to play it twice. I mean, it doesn't take long to pan an anemic crowd. I'll play it 2 times in a row.
And I've been doing 62 days without a day off, and I am inspired yesterday. And I've been doing 62 days without a day off, and I am inspired yesterday.
Good grief, there weren't even 200 people there. Now that had to raise the tiny-fingered emperor's blood pressure to some extent, yes? Apparently not enough, but still. And here's some footage from another Trump rally, again over the weekend. And in this next clip, Trump is bragging about the size of his crowd and how there are no empty seats. And whoever shot this footage turns his camera to show A, not that sizable a crowd, and B, people leaving while the orange trader is speaking.
In 9 years, we've had the biggest rallies in history of any country. And every rally's full. You don't have any seats that are empty. You don't have anything yet. I mean, the one we had today, you missed a beauty. We could have filled that place up 20 times. I mean, that was beautiful. And the Virginia rally, did you hear about the Virginia rally? That was, Glenn Youngkin did a great job, the governor of Virginia, and they had a crowd there that was incredible. And then we came here, and we don't want to be late, but it's very hard when you do these things. It's very hard, and you don't mind a little bit. We weren't very late. We weren't very late. Just a few minutes. Just a few minutes, depending on your definition of when it's going to start. But, you know, we've been doing, I was talking to some of the people. It's sort of, you know, in a way it's sad, and in a way it's beautiful. I was talking to them, and I said, you know, this is coming to an end. These rallies are coming to an end. We've been doing them, think of it, for like 9 years. We started a year before, and we've had tremendous success. In 2016, we did phenomenally, right? We went in, they said, they gave us a 3% chance, and sort of like amazing, right? 3%. That means 97% for crooked Hillary and 3% for me. And I was saying, well, I went to Iowa and I had 48,000 people and she had about 300 people. And then we went to another one in another state. We had 49,000 people. She had 243 people. And I kept saying, why are we going to lose? Why? Why are we going to lose? And we didn't lose, you know. We ended up winning, and we ended up winning the presidency, right? And that was an exciting night. Remember how it started? It started with a bunch of fake news. Look, there they are. That's a lot of fake news.
Which proves my years-long held contention. Trump brings up the fake news media and the crowd starts booing, whichever media outlets are there. The fact that Trump said there was a lot means there weren't. So the crowd sitting there booing the quote-unquote fake news media at the exact same time their orange idol has just given them fake news, which they can see with their own eyes is fake news. There are empty seats, a lot of them, and people are leaving. They can see this as plain as day, which again proves what I have been saying for literally years now. Those in Trump's brain-dead MAGA cult base know he's a liar. They just don't care because they're just as bad as he is. Meanwhile, this was who turned out to greet the next president of the United States in Charlotte, North Carolina this weekend. And by the way, her appearance on SNL a few nights ago over the weekend was both wonderful as well as a savvy political decision, one of many her campaign has made. And this race is close. Talk to my agent at Iowa. We'll do lunch. And now on to Donnie Moscow's closing message.
It's an army of gangs and criminal migrants from prisons and jails, from insane asylums and mental institutions. You know, when I say insane asylums and then I say Dr. Hannibal Lecter, does anybody know? They go crazy. They say, oh, he brings up these names out of, well, that's genius, right? Dr. Hannibal Lecter. There's nobody worse than him. Silence of the Lambs. Who the hell else would even remember that? I have a great memory.
Yeah, who would remember just an incredible Academy Award-winning motion picture starring two of the finest actors of all time, Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster? Who would remember that? Only Trump would, because he has such a great memory. I mean, only hardcore cult members can listen to drivel like this and not shake their heads in utter despair and disgust. Mr. Memory continued.
Silence of the Lambs. Who the hell else would even remember that? I have a great memory. But they always hit me. I don't bring it up too much because I have to take such a... He brought up Hannibal Lecter. What does that have to do with this? What is it? It has everything to do with it, right? That's who we're allowing into our country. And we don't want to allow that into our country. So I've done something for you that I haven't done in 20 speeches. I brought up Dr. Hannibal Lecter, and we're allowing him in our country. You watch, these fake people will say, again, he brought up Hannibal Lecter. It has absolutely nothing to do.
How desperate and broken a human being must you be? How tragically little must you have going on in your life that you would be willing to stand in line for hours to listen to this? Seriously, what is wrong with you? And as he continued, Trump continued bragging about himself, this time for his incessant rambling, which he calls the weave. It's the weave, don't you know? Which he has the balls to say is genius.
You watch, these fake people will say, again, he brought up Hannibal Lecter. It has absolutely nothing to do. You know, I do the weave, right? The weave, it's genius. You bring up Hannibal Lecter, you mention insane asylum, Hannibal Lecter, you go out. Now, there'll be a time in life where the weave won't finish properly at the bottom. And then we can talk. But right now, it's pure genius. Hey, I have an uncle, my uncle, Uncle John, my father's brother. 41 years at MIT, longest serving professor, has so many degrees, he didn't know what the hell to do with them all in the most complicated. I understand a lot of this stuff, you know, I believe in that. Like, I mean, Jack Nicklaus is not going to produce a bad golfer, right? You know, that's the way it works. It's just one of those things, and it's in the family, and it's whatever, but we have to save this country. We better save this country.
First, Trump's Uncle John was indeed a professor at MIT, and a renowned one, who did some very fine work, including in the area of advanced radiation therapies for cancer patients. Trump's lies don't erase any of that. However, John Trump was not the longest-serving professor at MIT at 41 years. MIT said in a statement that there have been, or continue to be, 10 professors at MIT for at least 53 years. Now, as for Uncle John having more degrees than he knew what to do with, John Trump had 3 degrees. His bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, his master's degree in physics, and his doctorate of electrical engineering, which he received from MIT. That's nothing to sneeze at, but it's not quite what Trump portrays. John Trump was a prolific professor and one who doesn't have to be lied about. But his nephew, Donnie Moscow, is incapable of telling the truth about anything unless it has to do with his dictatorial inclinations. So in those clips we just heard, Trump goes from insane asylums emptying their worst patients into our country, something for which there is less than zero evidence. Then he goes to Dr. Hannibal Lecter, which proves how great his memory is that he remembers that movie. And then he goes to the weave, which he calls genius. And then all of a sudden, out of the nowhere, but we have to save this country. Indeed we do, Donald, from you. And then there was this famous double jerk dance, which of course he just had to perform. And yeah, I had to change the music in this. YMCA was playing, which if I played would likely be seen as a YouTube violation. And so now, Proud members of Trump's brain-dead MAGA cult base, I give you your 2024 presidential candidate. And notice the shade of makeup in the first part of this clip. Jesus, did you see that first clip and the makeup? If he goes one shade darker in his makeup, he'll be doing blackface. And you know why he continues to do that ridiculous double jerk dance? Because he is surrounded by yes men and cowards who don't have the balls to tell him how stupid he looks doing it. Same as they haven't had the guts to tell him what the song YMCA is really all about. At one of his rallies, Trump wasted 4 minutes complaining about his microphone, and of course, bragging about himself for the process, and of course, with a little violence thrown in just for good measure. And as you watch this clip, please notice the cult members behind Trump. They are as clueless and classless as Satan's pumpkin himself. Watch as they laugh and applaud every fourth grade insult Trump delivers. And in this clip, the orange draft dodger calls 4-star General John Kelly a dopey guy and a complete moron.
H, thank you very much. Fix the mic. You gotta be kidding. Do you want to see me knock the hell out of people backstage? You want to see me? I don't mind if they want to come up a little forward or something, but it's a pretty stupid situation, but that's okay. I get so angry, I'm up here seething. I'm seething. I'm working my ass off with this stupid mic. I'm blowing out my left arm. Now I'm going to blow out my right arm, and I'm blowing out my damn throat, too, because these stupid people. I'll make you a deal. Pretend you're listening to it perfectly, and I'll come back and do another one, okay? With a decent... It's so stupid. And you know, the only thing I ask for, I don't care about lighting. I don't care about teleprompters because I never read the damn things anyway. By the way, isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need a frickin' teleprompter? But I don't ask for much. I don't ask for much. The only thing I ask for is a good mic. And this is the second time today that this happened. So now if I were the president, and you know, like a dopey guy like this Kelly, the guy's a total moron, and that happened, I'd fire him, and everybody would say, gee, I'm such a bad person. You're not bad. You fire people. When, for instance, the generals that destroyed us in Afghanistan, every one of them should have been fired. Should have been fired. Hello? Hello? I don't think so. Hello? Is that better? Is that better?
complete and total fool, clown, court jester. Somewhere a village is missing its village idiot. I mean, this is your guy, right-wingers. This is your presidential candidate for this election. And as his incessant whining and complaining continued, he made some gestures that could and were interpreted as vulgar, and I would say they looked to me like they were an extension of his double jerk dance. And of course, the crowd went wild. The vulgarity and the childish insults, that's what they came for. I doubt their attention span allows them to think further ahead and understand they're also championing this guy to be in charge of this nation's nukes.
Is that better? Is that better? That's terrible. Is that better back there? Is that yes or no? What crap. The only thing I asked for is a mic. You don't have to give me, I don't even need a stage. I don't give a damn. Give me a good mic. And I went through 2 of these today. And it knocks the hell out of your throat. But so far I'm doing okay, right? Okay. Is that better? Yeah. And did you notice I came in today, I said, and you know, this is after 4 of these things. I've been, in all fairness, I mean, I'm a human being, right? I come in, and here's the problem. I said, oh man, it's too low. I said, it's too low. So, I had to go outside. Way too low. Way too low. So I walk in, I said, shit, there's nothing worse than I walk in like this, and I'm, did you notice? I was bending over like this, hello. And then everybody says, is there something wrong with his back? What the hell is wrong with that guy? They're saying he's cognitively impaired and physically impaired. There's something wrong with them all because I have guys that are stupid back there. All right, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? What a shame. But we're going to come back. I'm going to give you a free performance back in that corner. You got a bad area back there. But I think this is better. I think it's probably better.
No, Donnie Moscow. People don't ask what's wrong with your back. People say there's something wrong with you. And now that you've seen and heard the human blemishes closing argument, for the final time this presidential campaign, I will offer my closing argument. And I will start with a disturbing stat from a new ABC Ipsos poll that found that 49% of Americans believe Donald Trump is a fascist. The bad news, 8% of those who think he is a fascist support him anyway. You hear that sound? Way off in the distance, kind of like a wailing, windy sound, as if it were voices crying out from the past. Sounds an awful lot to me like those voices are coming from 1930s Germany. And in this election, folks, you are not just voters. You are skilled surgeons. You are oncologists. And you have a chance tomorrow to expunge the cancer that has been eating this country alive from the inside out for the past 9 years. And after 9 years of needing therapy, you now have a chance to be chemotherapy. If you are a patriot who loves this country, who truly loves this country, you know what you need to do. You know what your country commands of you. You know what your democracy demands of you. And it's not a matter of politics or policies or loyalty to your party. It is a matter of loyalty to your country. And as such, you simply cannot allow Donald Trump back in the White House. And it's not a matter of partisanship either. It's a matter of survival, our democracy's survival. It's a matter of patriotism. patriotism to what this country can remain and not to what it could become. As JFK once so historically said, ask what you can do for your country. And that's much easier now than back then, because today you already know the answer. Tomorrow is our ultimate test as a freedom and democracy-loving people. And as is always the case with tests, we will either pass or we will fail. And the consequences, if we fail, will be much worse than summer school. Years from now, presidential historians will write how close America came to fascism, or they won't, because we didn't come close to fascism, we elected it. And legitimate historians aren't allowed to record history in fascist regimes. That task will fall to some jackbooted thug like either Stephen Miller or the disheveled and equally disgusting Steve Bannon. As Kamala Harris says, your voice is your vote, and your vote is your power. So let not just America, but let the entire world hear the power of your voices and votes tomorrow. And let them be heard loud and clear. And make no mistake, it's not just America who's watching you tomorrow. The whole rest of the world will be watching as well. Tomorrow is your day to be heard, and to be heard definitively. Tomorrow is your day to send a message to the rest of the world while you're still allowed to voice your message and your opinions in public, without being called dumb or a low IQ individual, and far worse, without being called a traitor to this country, without being called the enemy within, or being told the military should handle you, and without being told that maybe you should have guns being pointed at your face. Tomorrow is your day to ensure this will not be your last chance to use your power, voices, and votes. So all I can say is vote, of course, if you haven't already, but not just that. Vote in your nation's best interest, which ironically will also be in your own personal best interest. We got one swing at this, folks. Let's rip it out of the ballpark and knock the hide off the damn ball. And then, as we jog around the bases, slowly, of course, to make it last, savor the moment, we can all wear a broad smile of satisfaction on our faces, knowing that we left it all on the field, and we did what we had to do, and we saved our democracy, at least for now. Remember, a victory tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day we learn that we have been victorious, that won't mean our democracy is safe forever. Democracy is something that has to be protected, preserved, and fought for every single day we're fortunate enough to live in one. Especially when there are so many aligned, maligned forces trying to destroy it. And again, that holds true even if Trump and Trumpism are handed a resounding, crushing defeat tomorrow. Because I firmly believe that neither Trump nor Trumpism will be going anywhere. Donald Trump is a sociopathic, malignant narcissist, and he has never garnered the attention his massive yet fragile ego craves and needs to subsist, as he has since he entered the political arena. I also believe, and strongly, that he and his allies' assault on our democracy will continue unabated. I mean, it has to. Their policies are not supported by a majority of the American people. Democracy is not their friend. It's their enemy. Why do you think they all say, oh, we don't live in a democracy, we live in a republic? Bollocks. Every other election in this country is determined by the popular vote. Only the presidency is not. So hell yes, we are a democracy, just not a pure one. That's why democracy is not the right's friend. It's their enemy. But rather than adjust or modify their policies, they have instead decided to try and destroy our democracy in order that we live under minority rule. So vote, hopefully celebrate, and then prepare to hop back into the trenches. Because the great American experiment is definitely worth fighting for. And with anti-democracy traitors like Donald Trump and his GOP and media allies hovering like starving vultures, our democracy must be fought for each and every day, even when, especially when, Kamala Harris wins tomorrow. And to quote the next president of the United States, here's the bottom line, folks. Even if you believe all the charges against Trump are bogus, hoaxes, witch hunts, and that all investigators, prosecutors, attorneys general, judges, staff, every member of every grand jury, and every juror in trial juries are all liberals who are just part of this massive convoluted scheme to get poor innocent Donald Trump, which I have to add would make you uncommonly stupid and dim-witted, how do you explain his threat to terminate the Constitution? He posted it in his own words. You can't dismiss it. It's there. And you can't pull the old, oh, what he meant by that was, no, there's only one meaning for that. And he meant exactly what he said. And so, how do you either excuse or overlook that? Terminating the Constitution. I mean, I know how you can rationalize a lot of other things he says, like the enemy within. You just say, well, they are the enemy within, and the military should handle them. And that goes for so many other of Trump's anti-American droolings. But terminating the Constitution, which you can't lie about, you can't spin, terminating the Constitution, the founding documents that have served this country pretty well for well over 200 years now. I mean, unless you're so far down the rabbit hole, you're now lumping our founding fathers into the group of what? The enemy from Christmas past? Surely you can't be serious.
Thank you very much.
That wasn't the soundbite I was supposed to play. I can't find it. I had the soundbite from the movie Airplane where Leslie Nielsen said, yes, I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. But instead, I went to my cue, it wasn't there, and I played Elvis, which was going to be the next soundbite. In any event, that is my closing argument for this election. I thank you for allowing me to state it. Not that you had much choice. I mean, my mic, my show. But you did have the option of whether or not you listened. And if you did, I thank you very much. But let's be honest. The king said it best.
Thank you very much.
221-7283 is our call-in number here at the station, folks. If you want to chat, that's 702 area code 221-SAVE. To the phones we had, and let's start with Carl. You're first. Thanks for calling. Carl, are you there? I'm not hearing anything. Justin, is there something wrong down there, or? I'm not hearing anything.
What? Hello? Hello?
Oh, now I got you, Carl. I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, that's your bad luck. No, just kidding.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah. Listen, I got one, before I say anything, I got one real quick criticism for you. You're too complimentive of Donald Trump. what you say, it makes him sound too good. That's, he's mainly worse than what you say he is.
Well,
But
first of all, Carl, did you just make up a new word? You said I was too complimentive. Isn't it complimentary, or did you just make up a new
complimentary, yeah. Well, okay, you're right.
Not that I'm
That's my
nitpicking.
third
I was
grade
just curious.
Yeah, that's my third grade education ruined it. But anyway,
and by the way, Carl, I would take issue with that. I don't think I'm too kind to Trump at all. I mean, I call him Satan's pumpkin, Mussolini's taint, the orange gut wagon, the orange pus gut. I got a whole repertoire of things I call him. I don't think I'm too easy on him at all.
You're still making him sound too good, though.
Well,
better than he is.
If that is indeed the case, I apologize from the heart of my bottom.
Okay. Listen, two quick facts. The way they're always talking about all Democrats are pedophiles and all that. Well, Trump, Epstein, who he was, Trump took 7 flights with Epstein to Pedophile Island, and there's a flight record showing a flight list showing he did. What is he doing? What did he do when he flew with him to that Pedophile Island? And they're always talking about the crazy pedophiles in the Democratic Party.
Now, you mean what did he? What do you mean? What did he do other than raping that 13-year-old?
Well, aside from that, yeah.
Oh, okay.
and the other day they showed him on a garbage truck. You remember that, picking up garbage and all?
Of course.
Well, that's unfortunately after the election, he's going to have to apply for that job, but he won't get it because they don't hire convicted felons. He's going to have trouble with that too.
And not only that, as a convicted felon, there are certain countries that he cannot travel to. What a great position for a president of the United States to find himself in. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't come visit you. I'm a convicted felon.
Yeah, the only place they'll allow him in probably is Russia.
Yep.
That'll probably be it. Anyway, look, and I hope after the election we end up with a democracy, not a dictatorship. It's going to be one or the other. So,
I hear you, Carl. I appreciate you calling, buddy. You have a good rest of the day.
Care.
221-7283 is our call-in number here at the station, folks. That's 702-221-SAVE. Back to the phones we had, and we'll talk to our good friend and this show's good friend, Forrest. You're next. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Doug, great show as usual. There's a little bit of static on your line this time, but I can hear you. And you have in your email box the hard numbers for Pennsylvania and Iowa, and you can on your show tomorrow, you can actually give who has voted in those 2 states before everything's turned on at 11:30 at night, and we have the official results. But I've said this over and over again, but in the hard numbers, Trump is getting crushed in Michigan, and actual real votes, and Michigan and Wisconsin always vote in lockstep. So the blue wall is going to hold, and the Iowa numbers that you mentioned earlier, the poll that you mentioned earlier, you're going to be shocked by the actual vote in Iowa so far. Anyway, I'll get off the phone and go.
Forrest, hold on. Before you go, I wanted to ask you, what do you make of that Iowa poll that shows Kamala Harris ahead 47 to 44%?
I thought it was an outlier till I learned the actual vote a few minutes ago.
Wow. Now, do you think she's just going to lose it marginally, or do you think she actually has a chance to win it?
Well, because of abortion, I think he has a chance, and if you had asked me that 2 months ago, I would have said you were crazy. But I think abortion could turn that state around, and I give him close to I give her close to a 50% chance of taking Iowa, especially after learning what the hard count number is as of today.
Wow, that would be amazing. Hey, I appreciate you calling for us. Fingers crossed, buddy. Fingers crossed.
Have a good one.
You too. 221-7283 is the number. Back to the phones, and we'll talk to Big Bad John. You're next. Thanks for calling. Oh, I'm not hearing Big Bad John. Big Bad John, you there? It would appear we might be having some kind of phone issues today. Forrest said there was a bit of static. I didn't hear Carl.
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, I hear you now.
Can't say you guys. Somebody hung up on me. I called you right back.
Oh, okay.
Hey man, great closing argument. I'm gonna add an unusual twist today as my final icing on the cake, bow on the box closing argument. So if you're not convinced by the fact that he's on a hot mic, admitting that he's a serial sexual assaulter, if you're not convinced by the fact that he's been adjudicated a rapist, if you can't understand that he's a pathological liar, who's introduced the terms alternative facts and fake electors into the American political vernacular, if you're not convinced by the fact that he's destroyed the woman's right to control her own body and taken away the right to abortion, if you're not convinced that he's a 34-time convicted felon, if you're not convinced that he's a racist who refers to Mexicans as effing Mexicans and Puerto Ricans as garbage, and he's been said to use the N-word multiple times on his TV show, and if you're not convinced that he's stolen classified documents, most likely one would think to sell to Saudi Arabia or Russia, if you're not convinced by the fact that he said point blank, verbatim, he would terminate the Constitution. And if you're not convinced that he's a fascist in his heart who wants to befriend other fascists, I've got the coup, the resistance for you to vote for Kamala Harris. If you want to have the greatest reality television show of all time, vote for Kamala Harris. Because we will see this orange sack of pus go to jail for the rest of his life. He will have more criminal cases. He'll be convicted in November, and I can't imagine he wouldn't be sentenced to jail if he's not the president-elect. He'll be going to jail in November for New York, and he's going to get destroyed in the Florida case because that classified document case is a slam dunk. He has no defense. So if you enjoyed the O.J. Simpson, the chase and the trial and all that drama and all that good television, what you'll get by voting for Kamala Harris is 10 times better. It will be the greatest TV show, and it's kind of fitting because that's really all he was a TV reality star. He'll go down as the greatest. It will be the greatest TV reality show of all time. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please go vote for Kamala Harris.
Well said, John. I agree 100% with you. Fingers crossed, buddy. Fingers crossed. Oh, and I guess that's it. I was waiting for a bye-bye or something. Anyhow, folks, that's it. We have come to the end of another glorious session together. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. I thank you for calling. And we will do this all over again tomorrow on Election Day, hopefully with you. Until then, take care.
Doug Basham.